Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Deb Sofield, and you're listening to my weekly podcast series called Encouragement for Your Life. Most of you know I'm a national speaker, trainer, and coach. I like to say I help people find their voice and learn to use it. I'm also a conference speaker on the topics of public speaking, presentation skills, how to deal with the media, and crisis communication. I've got a number of other presentations on my website if you'd like to check those out. If your organization has an upcoming conference and you need a keynote speaker, I hope you'll reach out at debsofield.com. I would love to be a part. I've got a number of great books on the market. My best-selling book, Speak Without Fear. My book, Perfecting Your Platform. Both of those are on Amazon and Audible if you like to listen to books. And my series, Encouragement for Your Life, which is a compilation of these podcasts, they're available on Amazon, volumes 1 through 3. Just go into Amazon, type in my name, Deb Sofield, all my books will appear. I've got a show today that's most likely going to step on your toes, but hang with me. I've got a great show that I'm calling The Most Ridiculous Limiting Prehistoric Assumption Is. Yeah, stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it. All right, so I'm calling it the most ridiculously limiting prehistoric assumption is that many of you have is that what you've always dreamed of doing will not make you enough money. So you settle for something less than your heart's desire, less than you deserve, all because you assumed or were told that fill in the blank won't make you any money. Wow, what sparked this idea was that in one of my stories, I came across a great quote by Tama Keeves, who said, "I don't know what your block is, but I changed my entire life and the lives of thousands of others by questioning one ridiculously limiting prehistoric assumption that I had. I longed to be a writer, but I assumed that writers don't make enough money." Have to say, I love and believe this thought by her when she says, we live in truly extraordinary times. We can find meaning in our work. You do something you love, not just because it pays the bills. Or in other words, go get a job that doesn't feel like work. But finding your calling, listen, it's not easy. After all, it's not like you wake up one day and say, yes, I was meant to be an accounts receivable. So, how do you find that career that really satisfies you? And by the way, accounts receivable is fine. Well, listen, I believe the first thing you have to do is stop the negative life-limiting quote that you've heard 1,000 times. And that's my focus today. Friend, not about being a writer, unless that's what you want to do, but more about what ridiculous, limiting, prehistoric assumption do you have about your life that is stopping your greatest joy, your hopes and your dreams? Listen, I think many of us have been conditioned to believe that for us to be successful, especially in the eyes of those we love and admire, that many times we have to set aside our joy, our calling, our life's work to fit into someone else's plan. And while that's good for them, it's probably not going to be good for you in the long run. I work with people every day who can give me well thought out list of all the things they want to do. I mean, literally, they've listed everything. And while I think it's great that they desire to see the world, be a chef, an actor, a ball player, in the end, they're not going to do any of those things because someone, somewhere, somehow tied them down to a life they are expected to follow, whether it suits them or not. All because of the ridiculous, limiting, prehistoric assumption that they can't make enough money doing what they want to live the good life. Now, I got to level with you. It's not easy going against the advice of parents and advisors. That is a hard call to make. But some of you listening, you just need to do what's best for where you are in your life. When we're young, we usually have options. If we don't like one job, we'll just find another. However, at some point, we're encouraged or even demanded to settle down and do something, anything, to make a living and support our family. And while I will never tell you to go against your elders, I will remind you there are 24 hours in a day. And some of you need to use those other hours between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. to do what you're called to do until you can prove for whoever is watching that your heart's direction is a viable option for your financial well-being. And once you prove that fact many times, others will see that you're going to be okay. I can tell you that is what is most likely the driving factor for those who love you. The fact that they want you to succeed and have a successful life, rather than live at home with them in the basement for the rest of your life. I want to go through a list of the ridiculously limiting prehistoric assumptions that I have heard more times than any person should have to listen to. And the silly thing is that most people think these are true. So I'm going to start with, you won't make money as a speaker, author, teacher, coach, preacher, radio DJ, secretary, nurse, pet groomer, social media guru, artist, musician, police officer, or fireman, garbage collector, or postman. Now, you can add your list to this one because you and I know it just goes on and on. That list is made up of people, some well-meaning, some just mean. But I can tell you that some of the happiest people I know are teachers, musicians, actors, nurses, preachers, coaches, speakers, and radio DJs. So now, what's your excuse for not doing what you want to do or are called to do? Money? Really? Are you willing to set aside your happiness for what? Financial gain? Listen, I realized many years ago that people only know what they know, and frankly, I doubt that your friends and family have any idea of the kind of money you can make online or by spinning records or by doing whatever it is that your heart desires. Because when they were growing up, they didn't know anybody who could make a living doing what you're hoping to do. But friend, times have changed. You can type into any online search for the title Internet Millionaire, and page after page will load of people just like you, well, sort of like you. The people I'm talking about who have the guts and the chutzpah, something many of you listening lack, to go into the world and make their mark by doing what they love. You see, many of these people never bought into the ridiculous limiting prehistoric assumption that what you've always dreamed of doing will not make you enough money to enjoy life. They did not let their fears run their life. They took action, and today they are doing their dream job and having fun. So I have to ask, what ridiculous limiting prehistoric assumption has convinced you that you will not make enough money? What do you have in your head? What do you keep hearing other people say? Other people who really don't know your heart's desire. And how can I, as your friend, help you pull down the cobwebs and sweep out the trash and help you see a path forward for your amazing life? And I'm going to add, don't tell me you're too old. You want to know why? Because for many of you listening or reading, depth comes with age, and with it, understanding. And if you have it in you, if you have the fire, the drive, the want, it's not over. So stop making excuses. Listen, no one cares how old you are if you dominate and if you show that you have what it takes. I'll tell you what success doesn't allow: a ridiculous, limiting, prehistoric assumption that you can't do what you want to do as long as it's an honest day's, nights, and weekend work. Friend, it's up to you. Listen, excuses. I know, we've all got them. I've got them. You've got them. Your neighbor has them. But they're not getting you very far. So how long are you going to allow the excuses that you have to hold you back from doing your life's work? One of the reasons I'm questioning you today is I don't want you to believe a lie. And that's what it is. It's just a lie. And that is what the idea of not being able to make enough money is: a lie. And friend, no friend who loves you would let you go down a path that's not doable. I also believe that a true friend would question your limiting beliefs and encourage you to give it a try. Perhaps on a limited scale at first to test the waters. And then a good friend would push you into the water and force you to immerse yourself in the idea or option that you have. It just might work. Now, I'm not ridiculous, and I know, listen, we both know money's important. And I'm not going to ignore that important fact of life. But believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe, money isn't everything. Oh, yes, it helps. And yes, you need to make a living. And yes, it's not easy to step out on faith with some idea of finances. But don't let a little thing like money stop you from pursuing your ideas and dreams. That's why I'm going to push you to consider doubling up on your work and time to see which option will win out against your day-to-day job. What hobby that you have that you love could provide nearly the same revenue, but on your terms? The truth is, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. Granted, it might be from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m., but the hours are there. It's just a matter of you making, and putting the hours to accomplish your dreams. Listen, I focused our time on the ridiculous limiting prehistoric assumption that so many people make, and that so many people fear the idea they won't make enough money doing what they'd like to do in their lifetime. And hear me, I'm not saying you should rush out and make significant life changes without doing due diligence. But remember, wisdom is a part of this life-changing equation. But adding to wisdom is an opportunity. An opportunity only happens when you try something new or different with a belief that it just might work. My friend, don't let a ridiculous limiting prehistoric assumption stop your dreams any longer. You've waited long enough. Hey, maybe today's the day you step up and crack open that locked box that holds your dreams. The things you've thought about. The things that you haven't told others, but you know in your heart you'd just like to try. I think you should bring your ideas into the sunlight. And let's see if your hopes and dreams can stand under the heat of the sun to create a lasting opportunity for you. Because, remember this, the difference between success and failure is the courage to give it a go. I know, tough love yet again. But I want to remind you, for those of you that are like, oh, Deb, you just don't understand. Do you remember the pool noodle? All right, something that silly made the guy a millionaire, probably a multimillionaire. And yet everybody said no one's going to buy it. It's a fascinating story. You can look it up online. Hey, here's what I know. I know that you can do it. I just think you need to try. With wisdom, not putting your family in harm's way. But I believe if you really want to find the end of your days with joy, then you're going to need to step out on a little bit of faith. All right, I'm Deb Sofield. You've been listening to Deb Sofield's encouragement for your amazing life. And I hope you'll join me next week so we can continue the journey together as we work towards a better day. And remember, Deb doesn't care what the world says about you. I want you to know I care about you, and I care about you because I am tired of your limiting belief in yourself. I know you can do big things, and I'm going to walk alongside you as we follow that dream together. And just remember, there's a billionaire who built a pool noodle, for Pete's sake, everybody. All right, take care. Join me next week. Thanks for listening.